Beyond the bank. 7. Smarter places to keep your money safe. Do you truly trust your bank with your hard-earned money? After seeing major banks stumble and inflation eat away at savings, maybe it's time to question the old advice. What if keeping cash in the bank is actually riskier than you think? Stay tuned to discover 7 safer, smarter alternatives. Imagine waking up tomorrow and finding you can't access your own money because your bank suddenly collapsed. It sounds dramatic, but it has happened. While your cash sits safely in the bank, it's losing value daily. Today, we reveal 7 powerful assets that offer better protection and potential growth than your savings account. Are you tired of earning practically nothing on your savings while the cost of everything keeps rising? The traditional banking system isn't always your best friend. We're about to explore 7 strategic assets, from government-backed bonds to tangible goods and even digital frontiers, that could be far safer and more rewarding places for your money right now. Let me ask you a direct question. How much do you really trust your bank? Think about it. In just the last couple of years, we saw one of Silicon Valley's major banks essentially vanish overnight. Customers were locked out, unable to access their own money. It was a stark reminder. What if I told you that blindly trusting a bank with all your hard-earned cash could actually be one of the biggest financial traps in today's world? While you might sleep soundly, believing your money is secure behind vault doors, it's quietly facing multiple threats. Inflation is constantly chipping away at its purchasing power. Your funds are exposed to unpredictable political decisions and regulatory changes. And let's be honest, the interest rates most banks offer are so low you'd probably earn more renting out a parking space. The very system we were all taught to rely on is subtly, quietly betraying that trust, day after day. But don't worry, there are smarter alternatives. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 specific assets that are arguably safer and definitely smarter than just letting your money languish in a standard bank account. Each of these serves a distinct strategic purpose in protecting and potentially growing your wealth. Some are designed specifically to shield your purchasing power from the ravages of inflation. Others are excellent tools for generating passive income streams. One might even seem a bit unconventional or risky at first glance, but countless people are already using it to build significant wealth, often very quietly. And the final asset on our list, it's easily the most debated, the most controversial of them all. Before we dive into the specifics, I'm curious about your experiences. Have you, or perhaps someone you know, ever been caught up in a banking crisis? Maybe you faced difficulties during the 2008 financial meltdown, or experienced issues more recently. Sharing your story in the comments below could be incredibly valuable. Your experience might just help someone else safeguard their savings. Now that you're thinking about the potential vulnerabilities, let me quickly paint a picture of the economic reality we're navigating right now. It's crucial to understand why rethinking your cash strategy matters so much today. Inflation, while maybe slightly cooler than its peak, remains stubbornly persistent, meaning every dollar you hold is losing a little bit of its value every single day it sits idle. Central banks are keeping interest rates relatively high, signaling that borrowing money is expensive and the broader economy might remain sluggish. And remember, even large established banks aren't immune to pressure. Silicon Valley Bank's sudden collapse proved that. On top of this, geopolitical tensions and things like new import tariffs constantly threaten to push inflation higher again. So, amidst all this uncertainty, what is your money actually doing sitting in the bank? It's losing value to inflation, earning next to nothing in interest, and remaining fully exposed to systemic risks. That's precisely why we need to explore real assets and intelligent strategies that can genuinely protect your wealth. The financial world has changed dramatically, and clinging to outdated saving habits could end up costing you dearly. Let's get started with these 7 assets, places that are arguably safer and far smarter for your money than a traditional bank account. Asset number 1, Treasury bonds. We'll begin with what many consider the bedrock of conservative investing, an asset class known for its reliability. Treasury bonds. Think of it simply. You're essentially lending your money directly to the U.S. government. In exchange for that loan, the government promises to pay you back the full amount, plus regular interest payments along the way. Unlike depositing money in a bank, the risk associated with U.S. Treasury bonds is considered virtually zero, backed by the full faith and credit of the government. And here's the compelling part right now. U.S. Treasuries are currently offering annual yields often exceeding 4%, sometimes even higher depending on the bond's term or duration. That's significantly better than the paltry interest rates you'll find in the average savings account. So if you prioritize security above all else, want predictable returns, and aren't comfortable risking your capital in the volatile stock market or the world of cryptocurrency, Treasury bonds are an excellent option to consider. One of the key benefits is their behavior during uncertain economic times. When financial markets get rocky or crises hit, investors often flock to Treasury bonds as a safe haven, which can actually drive up their value. The main consideration? Liquidity. While you can sell your bonds before they reach their maturity date, their market price might fluctuate, meaning you could get back slightly less or more than you initially paid, depending on prevailing interest rates. So it's generally best to think of them as medium to long-term holdings. Getting started is quite easy. You can buy bonds directly from the government through the Treasury Direct platform with as little as $100. Alternatively, major brokerages like Fidelity or Vanguard offer a wider range of Treasury bond options and ETFs. Safety, predictability, and currently, even attractive returns. That's the power of Treasury bonds. Now, if you're someone who prefers investing in something tangible, something real you can actually see and touch, that also has the potential to generate monthly income and appreciate in value over the long haul, then our next asset is tailor-made for you. Asset number 2, real estate. They say money doesn't grow on trees, but a strategically chosen piece of real estate can certainly feel like it does, yielding impressive returns over time. Real estate is fundamentally different because it's physical, it's tangible. You can walk on it, improve it, live in it, or rent it out. While real estate markets certainly experience cycles of ups and downs, history shows that over the long term, property values tend to appreciate, often outpacing inflation. Plus, rental properties offer the significant benefit of generating consistent passive income month after month. Consider this. While the U.S. real estate market saw a slowdown recently, certain sectors, especially in growing urban areas and properties related to logistics, like warehouses, are already showing signs of recovery and continued demand. And here's the critical distinction. While that cash sitting idle in your bank account is steadily losing purchasing power, a well-located property can be a powerful engine for long-term wealth creation. Cities like Austin, Nashville, and Raleigh, for example, have witnessed incredible property value increases, some exceeding 40% in just a few short years. That's the kind of wealth building that doesn't necessarily require you to be a Wall Street wizard. Of course, real estate ownership isn't without its challenges. There are ongoing costs like property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and repairs. You also face the risk of vacancies, where the property sits empty and isn't generating rental income. However, if you do your homework, carefully select the right location, and choose the appropriate type of property for your goals, Real estate can be one of the most solid and rewarding assets in your entire portfolio. And what if you don't have a large sum saved up for a down payment? Don't worry, there are still ways to participate. Real estate investment trusts, or REITs, allow you to invest in large portfolios of income-producing real estate through the stock market, often with very minimal capital required. Companies like Prologis, specializing in logistics, or Realty Income, known for monthly dividends from commercial properties, are popular examples. Do you crave stability? Want an investment you can physically point to that also has the potential to pay you every single month? There's a reason real estate remains a classic wealth-building strategy. But what happens when everything seems to be losing value? When currencies fluctuate and markets are volatile? What asset has humanity trusted as a reliable store of value for literally thousands of years? Our next asset is, quite literally, the ultimate backup plan, even held in reserve by the world's central banks. Good old-fashioned gold. Asset number 3, gold. Think about it. While governments print ever-increasing amounts of money and traditional banks navigate cycles of crisis and consolidation, gold just remains. It sits there, tangible, unchanged, valued across cultures and millennia. For thousands of years, gold served as the currency of kings, the foundation of empires, the ultimate measure of wealth. When other systems falter, gold tends to endure. This isn't just ancient history playing out. In recent times, the price of gold has surged, reaching record highs. This rally has been driven by a confluence of factors: global economic uncertainty, persistent geopolitical tensions, and even whispers about major governments reassessing their own gold reserves. Unlike fiat currencies, which governments can create endlessly with a keystroke, gold possesses inherent scarcity. It's physical, durable, and doesn't rely on anyone's promise to maintain its value. It doesn't need to pay interest to provide a return. Its primary function is wealth preservation. You have options for owning gold. You can purchase physical gold coins or bars from reputable dealers like ApeMex or JM Bullion. If you prefer not to deal with the storage and security of physical metal, you can easily invest in gold through exchange-traded funds, ETFs like GLD or IAU, which track the price of gold and trade like stocks. Of course, gold isn't perfect for every goal. It doesn't generate passive income like rental property or dividend stocks. And for investors seeking rapid growth or immediate liquidity, gold's price movements might seem relatively slow or static. However, as a form of financial insurance, as a hedge against systemic risk and currency devaluation, its track record is practically unparalleled. Charlie Munger, the longtime investment partner of Warren Buffett, famously quipped that gold is a great thing to sew into your garments if you're a Jewish family in Vienna in 1939. He understood its profound value as the ultimate safeguard when societal or financial systems collapse. If the world's most powerful central banks continue to accumulate gold reserves, perhaps it's worth considering for your own portfolio too. But what if you desire an asset that not only offers security and potential appreciation, but also reflects your personal taste and could even be admired? Our next asset might already be sitting on your wrist, parked in your garage, or perhaps tucked away in your basement. Asset number 4, collectibles and luxury items. Believe it or not, while your cash quietly depreciates in a bank account, some individuals are amassing fortunes by investing in things like fine art, vintage watches, classic cars, and even rare sneakers or toy cars. That's right. Certain carefully selected luxury items and collectibles have demonstrated appreciation rates that rival or even surpass traditional investments like stocks. Consider these examples: a Rolex Daytona, Paul Newman watch, originally purchased for a couple of $100s in the 1970s, later sold at auction for an astonishing $17 million. A classic 1960s Ferrari 250 GTO fetched a staggering $70 million. There's even the famous case of a Banksy artwork that increased in value immediately after partially self-destructing at auction. What do these seemingly disparate items have in common? Typically, it's a combination of extreme scarcity, enduring aesthetic appeal, historical significance, and a passionate community of collectors willing to pay a premium for exclusivity. Even seemingly humble collectibles, like specific retired Lego sets, have shown remarkable appreciation, sometimes outperforming traditional market indexes over certain periods. Now, investing in collectibles isn't necessarily easy. It requires specialized knowledge, a keen eye, and often significant patience. These assets generally lack the immediate liquidity of stocks or bonds. Finding the right buyer at the right price can take time. However, for those who understand the nuances of a particular market, collectibles offer a tangible way to potentially multiply wealth entirely outside the conventional banking system. Encouragingly, this asset class is becoming more accessible. Innovative companies like Rally and Masterworks now allow ordinary investors to purchase fractional shares in high-value assets like fine art, rare cars, and luxury watches, lowering the barrier to entry. So, if you possess a refined taste, appreciate craftsmanship or history, have a long-term perspective, and enjoy the hunt, this unique asset class could potentially protect and even elegantly elevate your capital. I'm genuinely curious. Was the idea of using collectibles as a serious investment strategy new to you? Or is this something you were already aware of? Have you ever personally invested in art, watches, classic cars, or anything similar? Let me know in the comments which of these first 4 assets, treasury bonds, real estate, gold, or collectibles, you might already be incorporating into your own financial plan. I truly enjoy reading your comments and seeing the diverse ways people manage their wealth. Okay, we've explored assets outside the banking system. But what if you still want to keep some of your money in the form of cash, just in a smarter, more strategic way? Perhaps kept out of immediate reach of potential bank freezes, systemic glitches, or bureaucratic red tape. Our next asset is almost invisible in the digital age, yet it could be a lifesaver in critical moments. Asset number 5, physical cash, held strategically. Yes, you heard correctly. This asset is money itself, but crucially, not the digital kind trapped within your banking app or online account. I'm talking about actual physical currency, paper notes and coins, stored securely and accessibly, perhaps in a home safe or another discrete location where you have immediate and total control. Think this sounds like paranoia? Consider recent history. During severe banking crises like those experienced in Greece in 2015 or Lebanon starting in 2019, and even during the temporary disruption caused by the Silicon Valley Bank failure in the US in 2023, thousands upon thousands of ordinary people suddenly found themselves cut off from their own funds. Banks shut their doors, imposed strict withdrawal limits, and ATMs quickly ran empty. Holding a reasonable reserve of physical cash isn't about conspiracy theories. It's simply practical common sense. Emergencies happen. Power grids can fail. Digital payment systems can glitch. Cards can be declined unexpectedly. Imagine being stranded on the road during a storm with no cell signal, no internet access for digital payments, and your debit or credit card mysteriously not working at the gas pump. In those critical moments, having a stash of simple paper notes can literally save the day. However, let's be clear, this doesn't mean you should hoard all your savings under the mattress. Financial experts generally recommend keeping only a relatively small percentage of your reserves in physical cash, perhaps enough to cover essential expenses for 1 or 2 months in a true worst-case scenario where the digital financial system is temporarily unavailable. Personal finance expert Suze Orman, for instance, suggests keeping at least $1,000 to $2,000 in cash securely at home. The purpose isn't investment growth. Cash obviously loses value to inflation. It's purely for immediate access during unforeseen emergencies when digital systems fail you. Discretion, instant accessibility, and independence from the banking system. Intelligently stored physical cash still holds undeniable value. But instead of just storing money, what if you wanted to put it to work actively, day in and day out, like a dedicated employee generating more wealth for you? Our next asset isn't something you typically buy off a shelf. It's something you build, and it might just be the single most powerful wealth-generating tool you could ever possess. Asset number 6, your own business. This one is fundamentally different. You don't just purchase it. You create it, nurture it, and grow it. And arguably, it has the potential to be the most impactful asset in your entire financial life, owning your own business. While money parked in a bank account slowly erodes or earns minimal interest, and banks ultimately decide what happens with your deposits, running a successful business grants you unparalleled autonomy, control over cash flow, and the ability to directly influence growth. And before your mind jumps to massive corporations or complex operations, understand that a business can start incredibly small. It could be an online venture, a local service, a freelance skill, selling crafts, writing an ebook, or even creating content on a platform like YouTube. Yes, just like this channel. Successful entrepreneurs essentially transform capital into active money-making machines. While the bank might grudgingly offer you a 1% annual return, a well-structured and executed business has the potential to yield returns of 10%, 50%, 100%, or even more, sometimes on a monthly basis, though this requires significant effort and skill. Think about local success stories. That neighborhood pizza place, Johnny's Pizzas, might have started with just a single oven and a simple counter. Today, Johnny might own 3, 5, or even 10 locations, all because he chose to make his money actively work for him instead of passively letting it sit idle. And don't mistakenly believe this path is only for the already wealthy or the exceptionally brilliant. Jeff Bezos famously started Amazon by selling books out of his garage. Elon Musk risked virtually everything he had investing in ambitious startups like SpaceX and Tesla, ventures that seemed utterly absurd to many at the time. Sarah Blakely launched Spanx with just $5,000 in savings and became a self-made billionaire, simply by solving a common problem women faced. Of course, starting and running a business involves inherent risks. It demands strategic thinking, hard work, resilience, and continuous learning. But if there's one single asset class that possesses the power to fundamentally transform your financial trajectory and life circumstances, it's arguably entrepreneurship. And thankfully, getting started is more accessible than ever. Platforms like Shopify allow aspiring entrepreneurs to launch e-commerce businesses with relatively minimal upfront investment. Marketplaces like Etsy provide a ready-made platform for artisans and creators to monetize their skills and crafts. Now, what if I told you there's an asset class emerging that attempts to combine the principles of freedom, mathematically enforced scarcity, and cutting-edge technology? An asset designed to operate largely independent of governments, banks, and geographical borders? The final asset on our list today is undoubtedly controversial, sparking heated debates worldwide. Yet, It's also the asset class that has delivered the most astronomical returns over the past decade, and many believe it might be fundamentally reshaping the very future of money. Asset number 7, cryptocurrencies, specifically Bitcoin as an example. We've arrived at the final, and certainly the most polarizing asset on our list, cryptocurrencies. Many traditionalists dismiss it as a speculative bubble, doomed to burst. Yet, the undeniable fact remains that assets like Bitcoin have dramatically outperformed virtually all traditional investments, stocks, bonds, real estate, gold, over the last 10 years, creating staggering wealth for early adopters. It's crucial to understand that Bitcoin, the original cryptocurrency, is conceived by proponents as more than just a digital coin. It represents an alternative system of value transfer and storage. It operates on a decentralized network, meaning there's no single bank, government, or central authority controlling it. There's no printing press churning out more Bitcoin whenever a politician decides. Its supply is strictly limited by its underlying code. Only 21 million Bitcoin will ever exist. Period. This inherent, mathematically enforced scarcity is a core part of its value proposition. To illustrate the potential, consider this oft-cited example. If someone had invested just $100 in Bitcoin back in its early days around 2010, that investment could potentially be worth tens of millions of dollars today. Now, it's absolutely critical to state that past performance is never a guarantee of future results. However, the sheer scale of those historical returns cannot be ignored. Bitcoin operates globally, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, offering near-instant settlement and relatively high liquidity compared to some traditional assets. And crucially, unlike national currencies like the dollar, its value cannot theoretically be diluted overnight by unilateral political decisions or excessive money printing. This concept has attracted serious attention. Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategy, famously converted billions of dollars from his company's treasury reserves into Bitcoin, calling it digital gold, and arguing it's the ultimate hedge against long-term monetary inflation. Yes, cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, are notoriously volatile. Prices can swing wildly, and there are certainly risks involved, including regulatory uncertainty and the potential for loss. However, advocates argue that in a world where even established banks can fail unexpectedly and governments continue to accumulate seemingly unpayable levels of debt, we can no longer afford to completely ignore the potential role of digital assets like Bitcoin in a diversified wealth protection strategy. Getting started doesn't require huge sums. Platforms like Coinbase or Cash App allow individuals to buy fractions of Bitcoin with as little as $1, enabling gradual accumulation over time. Perhaps the most interesting development is the increasing adoption by major players. Large financial institutions, investment funds, and even some national governments are now actively positioning themselves in the Bitcoin space. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, now offers Bitcoin ETFs directly to its institutional and retail clients. El Salvador has adopted Bitcoin as legal tender, and corporations across the globe are beginning to add Bitcoin to their balance sheets as a reserve asset. If traditional gold represented the ultimate safe haven in the analog age, perhaps Bitcoin is emerging as its counterpart in the digital era. The choice of whether or not to allocate funds here is ultimately yours. But in a financial landscape showing increasing signs of stress and change, dedicating even a small portion of a portfolio to this new asset class might be viewed not just as speculation, but as prudent, forward-looking risk management. Conclusion: we've covered a lot of ground, 7 distinct assets that could serve you far better than a low-yield savings account. Now, the crucial question is, what will you do with this information? Knowledge without action doesn't build wealth. I challenge you to pick one of these assets that interests you the most and commit to learning more about it this week. Maybe it's opening a Treasury Direct account, researching local real estate opportunities, or understanding how to safely buy your first fraction of Bitcoin. Share your first step in the comments below. What asset are you exploring first? Let's inspire each other. And if you found this valuable, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more actionable financial insights.